Hello and welcome to this edition of Minstrels on the Block, where we bring you the finest singer-songwriters in the Valley area. This week's guest is the Lazy Swamis. How you doing, guys? We got Todd Seibert, Brandon Tharp, and Mike Blizzard over there. How y'all doing today?
Doing all right, and you?
Pretty good. So, tell me about yourself, Todd. Where were you born?
I was born in Salinas, California. It's the lettuce capital of the world.
Awesome. So what did your parents do?
My dad was a social worker. My mom was a stay-at-home mom, and I was raised in the same house for my entire childhood with the same two parents, which I know is...
Wow. Rock on. About you, Brian?
Which question?
Where were you born?
I was born in Wiesbaden, Germany.
Cool.
And, basically, I was a product of the Army.
Nice.
And my parents separated. My mom and I have 3 biological brothers. We moved to the States and then ended up with 7 brothers, 8 boys total in the house.
Wow.
Grew up out in Crawford, Alabama. So.
Nice. Mike, how about you?
I was born in New York City.
Nice.
New York City.
New York City. My parents, my father was military. My mother was stay-at-home. There was like 12 of us. Born and raised in New York City. That was it.
We got people from all over the place right in this one room. So, Todd, tell me about your parents. Were they musical at all?
My dad was a tenor drummer for a bagpipe band.
Nice.
So, and he was a lover of music more than a musician.
Right.
So we listened to classical and Irish folk music and Scottish music, and in fact, my dad turned me on to Bob Marley when I was a kid. Mm-hmm. He just listened to everything, loved everything.
Wow.
And my mother played a little piano, but she was the real impetus for my start in music. She decided when I was 7 that I was going to play violin.
Wow.
And she kept me doing that right through high school.
Cool. So you become pretty proficient at it then?
No. No, I actually did all right. When I switched to viola in high school, I still played violin some, but I found viola much more to my liking. It suited my taste a lot better. And of course, when I picked up the guitar the first time, I was in love.
Oh, yeah. Can't go wrong with the guitar. Somewhere in here there's a comment about chicks. We'll get to that later. So, Brandon, how about your parents? Were they musical?
Not really. My mother always, basically, I dabbled in her record collection. She had like this huge chest that was just full of records, and pretty much I remember it was 8 of us growing up, so like we would always take, and just to aggravate the babysitter, we would take like a AC/DC Hell's Bells album and just crank it and grab the brooms and tennis rackets, whatever we could do, and air guitar up in the front of the house just to aggravate the stew out of the babysitter. And then basically just I got into music because my stepdad actually. They had no clue what to get me for Christmas one year, and I was already like beating on everything with drumsticks. I bought a pair of drumsticks from Larry Rowe's music shop when it was here in Phoenix City, and basically just taught myself how to play drums before I had a drum kit, and never really expected to get one. And just one Christmas, he found one at a pawn shop, and just straight up like, that's what I got for Christmas.
Awesome.
And I started from there and just taught myself, and then I'd go check out stuff from the library and basically taught myself pretty much.
Very cool. So, Mike.
Yes, sir.
Were your parents musical?
Not really. Basically, growing up in New York in the 70s, walking up and down the street, you got open to a lot of different type of music.
Yeah.
One block, you can listen to funk. The next block is rock. The next block is Latin. So most of the music that I grew up on, of course, in the house, it was R&B, soul, jazz, a lot of jazz from my father's influence. But in that day, there were a lot of bands that were prevalent at that time. You had a lot of R&B bands, funk bands, rock bands, and you would walk up and down the block at any given time and see a live show. So one time, I was with my father, and my uncle, he said, I want you to go with me to check out your uncle play. So I said, well, okay. Right, so I go and check him out. He plays keys, and they had a pretty good band at the time. And the guy on the bass was just phenomenal. So I told my father, I want to do that. And he says, well, once you bring home good grades and stay out of them streets, you'll be able to do that. So he bought me my first bass, and I thought I had a lot of different influences back then. There were more influences of Larry Graham, Stanley Clarke, and all these different players that you could learn styles from and adopt some of those styles. Right. So I started playing, and the rest is history. Nice. I fell in love with it.
Now, Todd, you went to the viola, then you picked up a guitar and fell in love.
Yeah.
So, at what point did you decide music is what you wanted to do?
I think I always just kind of knew that it was something I wanted to do. When I first started playing guitar, I had already had a lot of theory and a lot of that, but I had never really considered anything else. My mother had focused very extremely on music to round me out as a person, but I think that maybe at some point I took it wrong or took it too seriously because I never considered doing anything else.
Yeah.
And for a lot of years, I made my paycheck playing music.
Nice. And it just kept on going after that.
Odd jobs, but the bulk of my pay came from music for quite a while.
Wow, awesome. Every musician's dream. Brandon, how about you? Yeah.
As far as
well, you were beating on garbage can lids. You got the
Oscar thing for one.
Finally got a set of drum kits for Christmas. What made you decide that's what you wanted to do?
basically just I started playing, and then like buddies would come over and we'd start playing around the house, and I took pretty much like having 7 brothers, and I've said that every time I'm talking about my brothers, but like we had bunk beds growing up, and then as people moved out, like by the time I was in high school, like I had a bunk bed that served no purpose. So like I just took the bottom bunk and I built a stage over the top of it, put my drum kit on top. We grew up in an older house. It was 12-foot high ceilings.
Nice.
And basically just had enough space to lay down in the bed, and I could sit up I couldn't sit up completely without knocking my head, and I knock my head a lot. That's why I don't have any. But anyways, just started having friends come over and jam, and then somebody asked me to come play one night at the Loft. Actually, I was in high school.
Wow.
And went and sat in with some people at the Loft and played with them, and just I don't know, just being on stage, playing music, and then captivating somebody, and just capturing the audience, and then also being at live shows, watching people play, and just the atmosphere that it creates, and then how music has spoke to me, and how it's kind of given me a way to just be able to I don't know, like deal with stress, handle things. When I'm frustrated in life or just confused about things, I'll go find a piano or find a guitar and sit down and just clear my head straight out. Yeah. No words, no spoken dialogue, anything, just straight music and self-expression. And usually it helps me de-stress and work things out. And but pretty much I ended up getting into music for the most part just through, I guess, life in general. Like I'd always dabbled in it, and even did like a lot of different stuff with churches and things like that. And then back in 2004, I got sick, and then I was diagnosed with leukemia. Ooh. And just realized life is short. Mm-hmm. And from there, just chose to do what I wanted to do, which was music. Yeah. And be able to creatively speak to other people, be able to just entertain people, and even if it's not something serious, if it's something that's just entertaining, just to get someone away for a moment is well worth it. So, but life in general, I guess, is what kind of has thrown me into music.
Yeah, circumstances.
Yeah.
Well, Mike, we kind of already got that information from you, but quick thing before we go hear one of their songs. What keeps you in music?
What keeps me in music? That's a good question. To me, music is a language, right? When you're a child, you're taught how to speak. You're taught how to interact with different people. To me, music is a language that you can interact with an audience. Someone could feel what you're saying with your instrument. Someone can feel the music that you're playing, and when you connect like that, it's a high, right? It's someone after you do a show and you get off stage and someone comes over and says, wow, you guys are awesome, right? That means you connected with them some way, and then building on that connection is what I think we do. We try and build on that connection as much as possible.
Definitely. Let's check out some of the Lazy Swamis. We'll be right back right after this.
The song's called Leave Me Alone. It's basically about late night relationships. I'm sure everybody's been there.
Car keys, give me back the phone, leave me alone. I'm going home. Said, give me back my car keys, give me back the phone. I was at the Maple, everything was going fine. I was drinking on the Yingling, she was having wine. It was going great, everything was going swell. Then we got back to her place, and it all went straight to where it belongs. I'm going home. Said, give me back my car keys, give me back the phone, leave me alone. I'm going home. Said, give me back my car keys, give me back the phone. Eyes are blurry, girl, but seriously, you have the most protruding Adam's apple on your neck. That song you're singing gives me the creeps. It ain't just the music, babe, but wow, your voice is like deep. Leave me alone. I'm going home. Said, give me back my car keys, give me back the phone, leave me alone. I'm going home. Said, give me back my car keys, give me back the phone. Lost down in your cleavage with your dress cut down to there. Oh man, I feel ashamed, 'cause now we both took off our clothes and we look too much the same. Leave me alone. I'm going home. Said, give me back my car keys, give me back the phone, leave me alone. I'm going home. Said, give me back my car keys, give me back the phone.
Hello and welcome back to Minstrels on the Block with the Lazy Swamis. So fellas, tell me a little bit about how you guys came together.
I'll take that one because it's funny. How long has it been, Todd?
I'm going to say 3 years.
About 3 years.
Yeah.
About 3 years ago, I worked for a company in Columbus, Georgia, and a coworker of mine knew I played bass, and we've talked music all the time. And he says, look, I have a friend of mine that's looking for a bass player. And, coming from the north, being in the south, I had a stereotype of what type of bass player would be
Sought after.
So I expressed that to him. I says, well, you know, I have that funk R&B type background. I don't know if that's going to play very well. He's like, man, look, just go, check him out, and you'll be fine. So called Todd up, and we met at his house in his living room. The first time I was nervous, you know, like, oh my God, I'm going to bomb this, and I'm going to go home and just sit in my living room and chill out. Well, we started playing a couple of tunes, and I like to embellish the songs, right? You know, change them up, make them different a little bit. Well, I did that, and Todd was like this, that's it.
Awesome.
Keep that going. So that made me feel comfortable. That made me feel secure in my playing with them.
Right.
So as we started playing, that started to mature more and more and more. And that's how I met Todd.
Cool.
Met this guy when I met you downtown when they used to have open mics all the time.
All right, the Random Man
Actually, I met
Jams.
you before that through your daughter.
That's right, you did. That's right. He met me through my daughter giving her drumming lessons.
Nice.
So, and we hooked up downtown and played. So, I thought that was a pretty cool, eclectic way of joining a band for me.
Yeah, Brandon came in when the previous drummer, who couldn't seem to settle on what he wanted to do. He wanted to be the drummer, wanted to be the singer, wanted to be the guitar player. Kind of last minute said,
Yeah.
I can't make it to the gig this weekend, and we had played a show with Brandon a couple weeks before, and so we called him up, and he said, yeah, I'll come play, and he came and played, and all of a sudden, everything clicked.
Nice.
It went from, we were kind of sorry and loose, and you know, but we're having a good time with it, and then Brandon came in, and all of a sudden, everybody looks around and we're hitting triplets together with no practice, and from there it just has sort of blossomed, and we've gone a lot of different directions, but we want to be versatile, so that's okay.
Very awesome. Now, let's talk about a little bit of what you guys have going on. What are you doing right now? What kind of, you play around a lot, so tell me a little bit about what you got going on now.
Well, we've played at a number of the local drinking establishments. But actually what we've done a lot of lately is we've gotten a lot into benefit work. We're trying to give something back. We played a benefit for the Children's Miracle Network a couple weeks ago.
Cool.
And we played one for March of Dimes for that. In fact, the gig that we met Brandon on, or that we first heard him play with Ophir Drive a while back, we were playing for MS, the MS Society. And that was when we kind of started scheming on getting Brandon into the band.
He doesn't even know.
I didn't know.
But anyways, we've done a lot of charity work. We'd like to find some real hole in the wall, and I don't mean that in a bad way, but a small place where it's got a kind of a family atmosphere where we could jump up on stage a couple times a month and be off by midnight because we're old and tired.
Lazy.
Too lazy.
For us.
But
that punching in the next day sucks.
Yeah, well, that's part of it too. It's got to work around our jobs, and Brandon works nights. Mike's got a steady gig that he can't. I'm a little more flexible because I own my own business, but that also means that I work 24/7. Yeah. So.
Well, where would you guys like to see yourselves go? What's your goal? Where do you picture yourself? The usual question is in 5 years, but I don't really have a time frame. But where would you like to end up? What is your eventual goal?
I'm not sure about these guys. We wouldn't mind expanding our circle of places that we play a little bit, and maybe go, once in a while somewhere. I don't ever see us going on an extended road trip or anything like that. I mean, we're not trying to make it big. There's no reason for us to think that we're going to, the days of the record deal are gone,
Yeah.
pretty much. And we're not in it for that anyways. I think we just all like to get better. We'd like to improve the way we play with each other and just improve our playing in general.
Yeah.
What's the word that I'm looking for? The kinetics of the group should improve. And,
Yeah, just growing musically.
yeah.
The synergy.
Yeah, a little more synergy, a little challenging ourselves a little more.
Increase our talent level
increase,
too.
right,
Yeah, I'd really like to be an excellent singer someday. I mean, I can carry a tune, but I'd like to be an awesome singer someday. And I think maybe by the time I'm in my 60s, maybe
Hey, the Rolling Stones are still doing it.
Exactly.
I saw an article the other day on the news that said was it Keith Richards' housekeeper has braced herself to find a dead body for since 1978 because he's so old. Well, I'll tell you what. Let's check out some more of the Lazy Swamis, and we'll be right back after this.
All right, this next one's a 20-year-old song called "Can't Believe," and again, you've all probably been there. Been sitting on a corner, drinking all about you, watching happy people passing by. I'm 1,000 miles from nowhere, man, I used to call it home. Evicted from your life and cast aside. You say that you don't want me, I can't believe it's true. Past has come to haunt me, there's nothing I can do. Tell me that you're leaving, leave me black and blue. It's time that we were through, I said, I'm done with you. I've been checking out your history, I'm just the latest victim, ending just the same way it began. Been talking about you to my friends, they stopped looking guilty. Say have a drink and take it like a man. Say that you don't want me, can't believe it's true. The past has come to haunt me, there's nothing I can do. Tell me that you're leaving, leave me black and blue. It's time that we were through, I said, I'm done with you. Well, I canonized your memory before the grace. Alright, I never thought that you could bring me down. I've been sleeping with your memory, dreaming that you're here with me. I just couldn't go another round. You say that you don't want me, I can't believe it's true. The past is going to haunt me, well, there's nothing I can do. Tell me that you're leaving, it leaves me black and blue. It's time that we were through, I said, I'm done with you. Oh, I'm done with you.
Hello and welcome back to this edition of Minstrels on the Block with the Lazy Swamis. So this is the part of the show where we pimp stuff. So this is the promotional part of the show. So whatever you guys want those guys to know about, this is the time to say it. So what do you got going on?
Well, the first thing, the next show we've got coming up, we're playing with a number of other really good local bands for a benefit concert in Opelika at the Municipal Park on the 29th of this month.
Nice.
Called Battle It Out. Blade Longshore is 15 years old. He's got leukemia, which gives us a connection there through Brandon. But his family needs to be able to pay his medical bills, which are quite high, as Brandon can tell you. And all the donations from this, it's a free show, but they're collecting donations and having a raffle. Everything goes to him. The next thing we have going on after that will be in August 18th in Pine Mountain. We're doing the Good Vibes Gathering with Courtney Huckabee, and you can check that out online at goodvibesgathering.com and get all the information there. And then in September we're doing Junk Fest.
Nice.
The only other thing I can think of, we've just finished a year of recording with Jason Ezell at Spinnaker Studios. We've got 14 songs finished, and we haven't chosen which songs will go to CD at this point. We haven't even sat down as a group and listened to them all in the final versions. But we're going to cut down a couple songs probably and then send it off for mastering. And you can just check us out on Facebook, and we'll be able to get you a copy of that as soon as it's out.
Cool. Tell everybody what your Facebook page name is.
I believe it's facebook.com/lazy.swamis.
Gotcha.
But if you just look for Lazy Swamis, you'll get either Brandon or the band page. So.
Very cool. Now, there's a couple of questions I'd like to ask, and you guys can just jump in with whatever you have. What do you think, as musicians, what do you think of the local music scene in the Valley area?
Well, I think there's a lot of talent in the Valley area, a lot of talent. The one thing I would like to see more of is the open mic type of genre, like it used to be, where you could go down and sit with different musicians and play different tunes. And I understand that they have some, but it was not as feely, I guess, for lack of a better word, as it was when it was the Tap and the Vault and those type of places. But I think there's a lot of talent in this town that can be tapped into.
No joke.
Yeah, just some of the talent in this town is just unbelievable. I lived up in Nashville for about a year and a half, and some of the people I played with there, I mean, Nashville is top of the line, and you've got to be on it there. And then there's people here in Columbus that are just so talented, and they're just as good as some of the people I played with in Nashville or watched in Nashville and so forth, but it's just like a lot of people are lacking drive, and I wish that Columbus was a better town for embracing musicians, embracing bands. Average pay for what I would make playing a night in Nashville versus it's literally about 8 times more than what I'd make here in Columbus. And that's, and I know economy is what it is and so forth, but just I wish that the attitude would be a little bit better toward live music and so forth. So and that's just the only negative thing. But as far as the talent goes, there's some unbelievable talent in Columbus, Georgia, and Phoenix City.
To embellish on that a little, the lack of acceptance of live music here may be what creates that talent. I toured for 10 years out of L.A., and there's some talent there, too. But really, for such a small population, to create so many phenomenal musicians of all genres and age brackets, some of the high school musicians around here are just amazing. I've got a 15-year-old or 16-year-old now son who introduces me to all his buddies' bands, and a lot of them are really good. Some of them are as good as anybody in town. So,
And real quick, before we check out some more of Lazy Swamis and actually end the show, what advice would you give to aspiring artists watching the show?
I would say stay creative. Don't give up on your talent. Keep your ears and eyes open to different genres of music, and you'll blossom that way.
I'd say get to know yourself instead of trying to play like, say, Jimi Hendrix. Play like you. Instead of trying to, cover somebody's song. It's okay to play somebody else's song, but play it your way, and let yourself shine through that. And because when you can take a song that someone else has and play it and sing it, but if you sing it in a way that connects with you, then you'll connect with the audience.
Right.
So,
Yeah, and I would say that when someone asks you to play with them, play with them. If you get an opportunity to perform, perform, whether you're ready or not, and just don't be afraid to get out there, because that's the best school for it is doing it. Learn as you go.
Totally. Todd Seibert?
Hey,
Right.
you got to ask the most important.
Oh, right. My producer back there behind the camera, Rusty, just reminded me. This totally slipped my mind, and it's the most important question of the entire show.
Yeah, Mike's married.
I don't know how this slipped my mind, but we'll start with Blizzard over there.
Of course.
Elvis or the Beatles?
The Beatles.
Rock on, Brandon.
George Clooney.
Get your mind out
No
of
right or
gutter.
wrong answer.
No, I would say the Beatles straight up. So.
The Beatles.
Yeah.
Todd?
Yeah, definitely the Beatles.
Hey. Lazy Swamis are a wise group of musicians. Mike, good to have you on the show. Mike Blizzard, Brandon Tharp, and Todd Seibert. The Lazy Swamis, ladies and gentlemen. I'm your host, Brian Mallard. This is Minstrels on the Block, where we bring you the finest singer-songwriters and bands in the Valley area. Hope to see you next time on CTV EA.
This is a new song that we just wrote, like, literally last week. It's called Summertime. Or actually, the week before. 2 weeks now, yeah. How's the song go?
Past the 40, past the dew, the sun is shining, it's time to groove. You pack the cooler, I'll get the truck. Go call them girls, tell them I said I wanna pick them up, yeah. Down on the river, the dirty hooch. You bring that charcoal and I'll bring my pooch, 'cause it's summertime. Oh yes, it's summertime. Down in Georgia, it's getting hot. So call your buddy, let's see what he's got now. It's kind of hot from all the rain. About 4:20 we'll be baked again, yeah. Down on the river, the dirty hooch. You bring that charcoal and I'll bring the pooch, 'cause it's summertime. Oh yes, it's summertime. Down on the river, the dirty hooch. You bring that charcoal and I'll bring the pooch. Oh, you know you wanna, I'm gonna too. It's kinda hard to say what we're gonna do in the summertime. In the summertime. Down at the drive-in, it's getting dark. Up in that back row where we like to park, yeah. We're sipping juleps and drinking grass, smoking. Your daddy found us and he beat my down the river, the dirty hooch. You bring the charcoal and I'll bring the pooch, 'cause it's summertime. Oh yes, it's summertime. Down on the river, the dirty hooch. You bring that charcoal and